kids, and I'm all about kids.
You said the ad says that charter schools are disproportionately minority enrolled in African American. Do you have a percentage of the 80,000? How many of those students would be African American?
You know, I do not have that percentage off the top of my head, but we can get that for you. I used to know all those things, but I don't keep all that in my head anymore.
How many charter schools are members of your organization?
We have not only charter schools, but we have parents, families, we have the Ed Choice, any of the vouchers. We are truly an overall choice organization.
How many schools are part of that? Actual schools?
We don't require that they sign up for membership. What we ask them to do is participate us and go online and look at our blogs and that. So I can't give you an exact number that we have that are exactly members, because we don't really break them down. We have a lot of them that are just families and educational leaders that support choice. In fact, I might want to mention that we have, and I really do, we have one of our volunteer board members with us today, and she happens to be a teacher in one of our charter schools. And we talk about e-schools too. I sort of forget sometimes to mention e-schools because I just always assume, but I know not everybody does. E-schools are one of our, big components.
E-schools are charter schools, though.
That's correct. They are. That's why I guess I think of them all as charter schools, but I know sometimes it helps to point out that we do have a lot of e-schools that are charter schools.
Sue, why, I know you mentioned the three urban centers that you're targeting now, but why not your backyard in Toledo?
That's a good question. I should have known you were going to ask me that. I think it's called dollars right now and availability, and we saw that as we were able to reach the most people. I will tell you, I've been doing a lot of outreach to the schools up in the Toledo area and also to the sponsors, particularly sponsors in the other, there are several organizations, and I've been reaching out to them to reach to those schools. So that's why you're not seeing an ad campaign particularly right up there.
Another change the House made was to basically encourage charter schools to seek sponsorship from school districts and try to increase collaboration between charter schools and school districts. I want to get your take on that.
Well, we go back to originally when we started out, and we've always said, districts have always been able to sponsor charter schools. But if you recall way back to the early stages in 97, 98, 99, back then, the districts didn't want anything to do with sponsoring the schools. So it ended up being the state board and then later sponsors. So, I'm not sure that that makes any sense, but I will tell you, I do know that there's a different atmosphere up here, out there now as we've come down the road, and that there are many districts that actually do work with the charter schools in their area, and there are districts and charter schools that have relationships with various things in mind, purchasing, busing, all those kinds of things.
Sue, it sounds like you've got some friends over in this, among the Senate Republicans to start to restore some funding. But what concerns do you have given the news that we had a couple of days ago about another potential $900 million hole in the budget?
I think there has to be a lot of concern about that announcement. I don't think there's any doubt about it. I think we as Ohioans all need to be very concerned, and I'm particularly concerned knowing what's happening up in the Toledo area with everything, and that is going to have an impact. I think the Senate is going to have to work very, very hard to take a look at this budget. And, at some point in time, we cannot fund schools unequally. We've got to bring the funding back for the community schools, because otherwise what's going to happen is you're going to have all those students pouring back into what we call our traditional public schools. So where are the dollars going to come there? We've got to think about this a little bit. So it's going to be hard, but we've got to restore and have a level playing field for funding. And charters already, they don't get facilities money. There's things that they don't get. And so we need to be concerned, and I guess when I come from the point, we need to be concerned about those 80,000 kids that are in those schools, and that they feel safe, and that they need to have the support for their education.